Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NASCAR Nick YouTube channel. There's a few things I want to touch on today. I've just had some stuff on my mind that I wanted to talk to you guys about and maybe get some opinions on, or just some reactions. So the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, the race at Darlington, which we just had. And then I also want to touch on Furniture Row shutting down and kind of what I think about that. Yeah, that's it. I thought there was one other thing, but I think it's only those two topics. So starting off with Darlington, I know I'm a little late in the reviews. It's already Wednesday, but I watched the entire Darlington race. I was pretty excited about it. I think Darlington always puts on a pretty good show, and I think a lot of that has to do with just how the track is, how it's configured, and how hard it is on tires. And so, overall, I'd give the race an A. I thought it was a really good race. Obviously, Kyle Larson dominated it and basically had something for the field that night. And then, unfortunately, a late pit stop gets him out just behind Brad Keselowski, and Keselowski was up there all night, had a pretty good car, but he never really led until the end. And then he got that good restart, and they were all on equal tires. And once he was out front, I think probably, the aero, it was just hard for Larson to pass. Plus, Larson's car really wasn't the best on the short run. He was super fast on long runs. And so had there not been those cautions at the end, I'm sure, we'd be talking about Kyle Larson getting his first win and his first Southern 500 win this year. But, that didn't happen. So... But yeah, overall it was a good race. I was really disappointed with Jimmy Johnson. He had a really fast car in practice, and then, messed up a little bit in qualifying. Had to start at the rear, and then, didn't really do much. Well, he moved up to 14th, but they had a pit road violation. I don't know if they had a speeding penalty as well. I feel like he had one, or at least, I know for sure one, maybe two penalties. And then his engine, blew up with the oil pump issue, so... that was really unfortunate. I think his car actually looked pretty good, considering. So, under the lights it looked better. But whatever. Hopefully the throwback for Homestead is much better than that. But anyway, yeah, I thought the race was really good. I enjoyed watching it. It was the first time I just sat down and watched an entire race in a long time. So, yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought the tire, kind of, not issues, but just tire, the fall off was really nice. I think tracks like that, especially for this aero package, where you have tire wear, that's where you have a lot better racing. A lot of these tracks now, you really don't have a lot of tire wear, or the tires are just so good that it never really becomes an issue. So I know, places like Darlington and Atlanta still, and Martinsville, places where you have to just manage your equipment more, you're gonna have better racing, and I think that's what we saw at Darlington. And also, it was just more of it felt more of a normal race. Of course we had our stages, but it felt like a regular race pace. And that might sound kind of weird, but I hope you guys know what I mean when I say, the stages always kind of seem to break up the race and get in the way. They didn't really seem to get in the way at Darlington, which was nice and something that I really haven't experienced ever since we started the whole stage racing saga in 2017. So anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed the race, and congrats to Brad Keselowski. It's going to be an awesome diecast, and it's cool that finally we have a throwback car that actually won the throwback race, over the weekend. So very cool. So that's it for Darlington. My Darlington review, I guess, more of just my reaction to it. But now I want to talk about Truex and him going to. Or him leaving Furniture Row. So Furniture Row shutting down. Guys, that's crazy. That's I don't know, whoever won the Stanley Cup last year, that team shutting down. Oh yeah, we're just closing our doors, whatever. That's insane. Furniture Row Racing literally cannot fund their team. That's crazy. And so, this has been covered by now because I'm a little late with this, but basically they couldn't find sponsorship. 5 Hour Energy left, if I can talk. They had other sponsorship though. I really can't believe they couldn't find, 20 race or not even not 20, like 10 or 12 races of sponsorship. I can't believe that. But then also what came into play was the partnership with JGR, I guess, has been getting more and more expensive, and they just couldn't pay for that either anymore. So it's kind of the combination of the sponsorship and the funding for their partnership with JGR. And that's just really, really unfortunate. And I remember seeing that, I think yesterday, or maybe it was Monday, but I think I was on Instagram scrolling through, and it was like, I think Chicagoland Speedway posted something, and they were like, oh, we'll miss seeing this car in Victory Lane. And I was like, what? Like, what are they talking about? And then I was like, oh my God. I can't believe it actually happened, because I know about a month ago, I think it was Barney Visser, the owner of the team, said that, yeah, they'll be around for a long time. Like, we're definitely going to field the car in 2019, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden they're done. And that's just hard to believe, because for a long time, like literally up until through 2015, I think 2016 was the first time they had outside sponsorship. They've been sponsored or, internally funded the entire time. So I don't know how, especially right after they won a championship, they've won 4 races this year. They've won, 8 races last year. How is it possible that this team that's at the pinnacle of NASCAR, essentially, is not able to find funding and other companies that want to jump on board? And so I just don't know. I don't get it. There's got to be more there than what we're seeing. And I also saw on Instagram today someone talked about, maybe Gibbs finished second in the championship last year to Martin Truex Jr. Maybe they were pissed about that. Well, they probably were pissed about that. And then so they raised the price for Furniture Row to stay in as a partner with Joe Gibbs, to the point that Furniture Row, couldn't do it, to the point where they had to shut down. And what does that do for Gibbs? Well, it gives them Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn, right? And again, today we were like, oh, where's Truex going to go? And that was all up in the air for about, a whole day? And then now we found out, I think earlier today, or again, it could have even been yesterday, I think it was yesterday actually, that he will be going to the 19. He and Cole Pearn will be going to the 19 team for 2019 and potentially beyond. And now Joe Gibbs is more of a super team than they were before. I mean, you already had Kyle Busch winning almost everything. Denny Hamlin, I don't know how he's not won yet this year. He should be better than he is. You have Eric Jones coming up, and then you had Daniel Suarez, who really hasn't done anything, but whatever. I feel like every team has that one driver that doesn't, kind of brings up the rear for that team, and that's kind of Suarez. Not always, but generally, I think generally speaking, it's Suarez. And so now it's going to be Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Eric Jones, like a rising star. So that they're just going to be completely stacked in 2019. I mean, it'll be kind of like they were in 2016, because they had Carl Edwards, and he obviously is a great driver. So I guess it'll kind of be like 2016, but I just feel like it'll be even more like that, like 2016 on steroids, because Truex is a defending champion. Kyle Busch, is an amazing driver. He won a championship recently, although I don't count it personally, but he won it, I guess. Denny Hamlin's been a championship contender before, and then Eric Jones, like I said, just like someone that's probably going to be very good for a long time. So yeah, that team is looking super, super strong heading into 2019, and so we'll see if any other teams can even compete. I don't even know. Maybe, Stewart-Haas maybe, right? But Hendrick hasn't done much of anything this year. Roush is still recovering. Ganassi's, Kyle Larson's been good, hasn't won though. So yeah, I don't know. So looking into next year, I guess time will tell, right? As it always does, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. There's something weird going on with the Furniture Row thing. How do you go, over a decade, or nearly a decade, unsponsored, and just having your own company on the car, Furniture Row, You have a black car with a red number or orange number, whatever, and then win the championship, have all these sponsors, Bass Pro Shops, 5 Hour Energy, auto owners, Toyota auto owners, I think, or whatever, and then have one leave you and just fall and be done. That's ridiculous to me. I mean, that's crazy. Like, that's like, you know, whoever, like Jimmy Johnson wins 5 championships in a row, and Hendrick's like, yeah, we're shutting down. We can't find sponsorship. I mean, it's not to that extent because, you know, he only won 1 championship, but still, like, the pinnacle team of whatever sport, you know, it's like whoever wins the World Series, whoever wins the Stanley Cup, whoever wins the Super Bowl, like that team saying, oh yeah, we're just getting out of this sport completely. Like, we literally will not be there at all next year. Like, bye. That's pretty unthinkable. So, yeah, and that's just a really bad sign for NASCAR, and it makes me worried about you know, my favorite driver, Jimmy Johnson. Like, wow, if they couldn't find sponsorship and he just won the championship last year, he's the reigning champion, couldn't find sponsorship, what does that say about, you know, Jimmy Johnson? Obviously, it's a little different because, again, he's a 7-time, I mean, he's a legend in the sport, but I don't know. Does that matter anymore? I don't know. Are we at that point in the sport's life where has it really come to that? Like, I don't even want to say it, you know? Like, you can tell I'm struggling. I don't even want to say it. But I don't know. I guess hopefully something comes through with Hendrick Motorsports and Jimmy Johnson. I'm glad that you know, Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pern are still in the sport. I didn't think they'd leave the sport. I knew they'd find a ride, or I had a really, you know, I didn't, you know, they're the reigning champions. Like, it'd be hard for them not to find a ride. But, yeah, just like the fact that their organization shutting down is ridiculous. Joe Gibbs next year is going to be crazy good. And I just feel bad for everyone at Furniture Row Racing, everyone at the shop, and you know, the owner, and, like, just all the people that make that whole organization happen. Like, I'm sure they'll find employment somewhere else. They're all champions, right? They're part of a championship team. So, you know, they shouldn't be short of job opportunities, but just really unfortunate for everybody back in Colorado, Denver, Colorado with that. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to say. I think that's the only news. I thought there was a third thing I wanted to talk about, but I feel like that's kind of it. So as usual, I hope you guys liked this video. Please leave your comments below. There's a lot to talk about with this, and I'm probably not even thinking of everything. So please leave your comments below. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. If you loved it, consider subscribing. Go follow my Instagram, NASCARNick48. I'll leave a little link right at the bottom of the video for that, as I post on there daily. And that's it, guys. Like I said, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.